My name is Jared Cawley. I'm an attorney, but more importantly, I'm your neighbor, and I absolutely oppose this casino. I want to thank Rob for joining me in forming the Broken Arrow Citizens Against Neighborhood Gaming. I want to thank Congressman Sullivan, Senator Coburn, Senator Inhofe, the Mayor and Council of Broken Arrow, the Mayor and Council of Bixby, and all our distinguished guests up here tonight. And especially, I want to thank all of you. You know, I would just be speaking into the wind if I did not have all of you standing behind Rob and I to make sure that this does not happen. It is very important, and we appreciate your voices. I'm not going to try and bore you too much with legalese and some of the fancy language. So, you know, I think there have been some comments recently in one of our neighborhood papers that perhaps maybe I'm sharing misinformation. So tonight I'm going to address the real misinformation that is occurring. Our friends from our developers that are representing the Kialegee town have mentioned that, you know, there's a 120-day requirement that the National Indian Gaming Commission has in order to approve their gaming license. They didn't comment, so therefore they can go forward and they have all the approval they needed, and that's why they've broken ground. They say that almost as if there was no opposition or no notice to them that they couldn't do this. Let's kind of address that specifically from quotes from the National Indian Gaming Commission. As early as back as 2006, a direct quote from the chairman. My approval of the gaming ordinance does not constitute a determination that the Kialegee tribal town possesses or has jurisdiction over any Indian lands eligible for gaming. Such site-specific issues will be addressed when the tribe submits a notice under the National Indian Gaming Commission's facility license regulations, which is required before the tribe opens any Indian gaming facility. So who's supplying the misinformation on this one? The tribe is well aware that they need National Indian Gaming Commission approval of any facility license. They do not have that approval. More recently, September 2011, the group has said, you know, our 120 days was up in August. We haven't heard anything from them since then. As recently as September 2011, the current chair of the National Indian Gaming Commission wrote, I note that the tribe has submitted a notice that a facility license is under construction for a partially restricted allotment that is held by non-members of the tribe, and that lease of that land has not been approved by the Department of Interior. My approval of this ordinance does not constitute a determination that the tribe has jurisdiction over that parcel, or that the parcel constitutes Indian lands eligible for gaming under IGRA. So I think it's a bit disingenuous for the developers to now be saying we've got all the approval we've needed when as far back as 2006 and as recently as September, the National Indian Gaming Commission has said you do not have an authority. There has been no determination that you can game on those lands. But let's not just take National Indian Gaming Commission's word for it. Let's look at the law a little bit. Tribal jurisdiction. In order for a tribe to game on Indian lands, it has to have tribal jurisdiction and governmental authority over those lands. The tribe has recently said, our jurisdiction is shared. We are part of the Creek Nation. Since those lands are theirs, then we get to share that jurisdiction with them. Let's look at what the law says, shall we? In a specific case known as National Indian Gaming Commission, Indian Lands, Iowa Tribe of Oklahoma, let me read what the Department of Interior, as well as the National Indian Gaming Commission, said about that. After consulting with the DOI, it is the opinion of this office that a tribe that had a reservation subject to allotment maintains exclusive tribal jurisdiction over trust or restricted fee lands granted to its members, and that the only way that jurisdiction can transfer is through a transfer by the United States government, either through legislation or by trust deed. That has not happened in this case. There has been no transfer of jurisdiction. They can't just automatically assume shared jurisdiction. Let's talk about the governmental power being exercised over the land. I think as recent as yesterday they said, well, we've flown a flag, we've put up some signs. We had a farmer's market on that site. Now, they might be able to fool the attorneys all the way in Washington, D.C., who have not been to Broken Arrow. But I live less than 2 blocks away from that corner. I drive by that location on a daily basis and have done so for the past 2 years. The only thing that has been up there is a sign on the corner from a local businessman who, I won't name him because I haven't received his permission to say that, but it was for a flooring business, if many of you may recognize that. And if all you need to do is put up a sign to have governmental authority, then I think this gentleman has more authority over that land than the Kialegee Tribe. The only flags I've seen flying on those lands were ones that appeared within the last 3 weeks, and those little yellow construction flags that circle the land. And as far as a farmer's market is concerned, it is extremely disingenuous to say that they've had a farmer's market there when all they have done was put up 3 empty stands that lasted for about a month and then came down when a local church group started selling fireworks on the spot. All of you are aware of that. All of you live here. All of you know that. So let's, misinformation on our part or on somebody else's part. You guys decide. Let's talk about kind of the threshold issue here. These lands are lands that are in restricted status for these 2 sisters, Miss Giles and Miss Capps. You may be asking yourself, what does restricted land mean? It's a basic definition. There are 2 types of land. There's trust land, and then there's restricted land as far as individual Indians or tribes are concerned. Restricted land is land that the title belongs to the individual, but it is in a restricted status by the U.S. government, meaning there are restrictions placed on the land so that it cannot be sold, it cannot be leased, it cannot be mortgaged, it cannot be built upon without approval from the Department of Interior. And the reason that approval is needed is because the Department of Interior has a fiduciary duty, meaning he has an obligation to protect the financial and property interests of either the individual or the tribe. And so permission has to be granted so that he can make sure that whoever they're leasing or selling the land to is not ripping off the individual. This group has not submitted a lease for approval to the Department of Interior, as far as I'm aware. We've talked to the Department of Interior. They say they haven't seen a lease. Senator Inhofe's office has talked to the legal counsel at the Department of Interior. They have not seen a lease. I believe in this morning's newspaper, it was said that, we filed a lease with the county clerk. Okay, so now the county clerk has authority to approve whether or not you have a lease? I don't think so. That means nothing. Let's address part of the other issue that goes along with the protection of those lands. The Department of Interior is required to make sure the environmental conditions of those lands are protected. There are strong provisions in the National Environmental Protection Act that require that an environmental assessment be done, which is, typically at a minimum a 6-month process. That has not been done. They mentioned in the paper today, we've got a stormwater permit. Many of you may know what a stormwater permit is or what it takes to get one. I could go get 5 right now. Essentially, all it means is that they claim to have a plan in place to make sure that they don't have pollution running off into the storm waters. Doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. It means they've got a plan in place. We had a fantastic conversation with a 71-year-old gentleman who was a member of the Kialegee tribal town, and he expressed his great dismay that this casino was even being built. He's from Tulsa, but his family all live currently in Wetumpka with the tribe, and not one of them knew this casino was going in any earlier than anybody else sitting in this room. He explained to us that they have a business council meeting on a weekly basis where these type of things are supposed to be brought up, and that his family attends regularly. Not once was this particular issue brought up. And so they are caught off guard just as much as we are. And I want to make sure that we don't disparage them or disparage the members of that group because they are just opposed to this as we are. He's just as worried. He's just as worried as we are about who these developers are, where this money is coming from. To me, if this were a legitimate project, well within the law, they would have no problem disclosing that every time we ask the question. But all we get is, press can't contact anybody. We can't get a hold of anybody. No comment. You know, they did a great exclusive piece for the neighborhood paper yesterday, but not one of these issues was asked or addressed. If they want to be open, they want to be our great neighbors, come talk to us. They say they've talked to the city council or city officials numerous times. That may be, that's all well and good, but the casino's not going in next door to the city offices. It's going next door to our homes, in the front yards of our churches, and in the front yards of our schools. Come talk to us, and we'll have a good chat with you. Lastly, what's next? We're going to continue working with Congressman Sullivan, with the Attorney General of our great state, and our senators to stop this casino. We're thinking potentially of filing legal action. We have two particular options. We can file an injunction, or we can file a citizen suit under the environmental laws to make sure that environment is protected. Additionally, as Congressman Sullivan has alluded to, we're going to work on legislation to prevent this from ever happening again. We don't want to just stop with this casino. We don't want this happening in anybody else's neighborhood. Thank you.